Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTG Traders. My name is Terrence, and I've got with me with a very special guest. We've got MTGMuddstah. How you doing, man?
Good, yourself?
Doing well, doing well. So it's been kind of an ordeal getting you on here for the channel. Been a little bit of schedule stuff, you know.
Yeah, I travel a lot in the summer. I'm back and forth between New Jersey and Montreal quite a bit, so it's
wow,
kind of hard to find time to sit down and actually get stuff done beyond like video editing and like my other kind of stuff that I do as well. So it's just yeah, it's a scheduling nightmare.
Gotcha. Are you do you originally live in Montreal, or is it?
Yeah, I was born in Quebec.
Nice.
I lived there until I mean, I wouldn't say I lived in Germany. My wife did her PhD in Germany, so I was there for a little while with her. Then we came back, and then she got a job at Princeton University in New Jersey. So we kind of came down to this side of the border, and now we're here.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, been around.
Nice. So I guess what does she do? I guess at Princeton, just as a teacher or a professor.
She's doing postdoctoral a postdoctoral research associate. It's like a postdoc. So after her PhD, she's doing kind of more research while looking for professorships, basically.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. She does geology, which I don't do science. All I know is that she takes rocks and she smashes them together, and then studies that. And
gotcha.
It sounds cool. So
right. Just put it in quotations. I don't do science, and then quote like MTGMuddstah. There we go.
Or math. Basically, anything that involves hard thinking tends to be outside of my wheelhouse.
Well, I mean, MTG is a little hard thinking, you know, just a little bit.
True.
A little bit. I guess we'll transition into some of the questions today. So, with the first question, as with all of our guests, how did you get into Magic the Gathering?
Oh man, that's like, I don't know. I don't want to make a blanket statement and say like everyone gets into it at a certain time, but for me anyway, it was around, I think it must have been 4th edition or just at the end of Revised. I was in elementary school at the time, and we had a friend whose dad illustrated, I don't know if you remember, like they used to do comic book trading cards.
Yeah.
There was like Spider-Man and stuff like that. He used to be an illustrator for one of those, and so he'd always get these kind of like demo packs and stuff that's sent to him. And one of the hard things about Quebec is that in order for a product to be sold in Quebec, oftentimes it has to be sold in French as well as English, because Quebec is primarily French.
That makes sense.
And so we didn't get Magic for Alpha, Beta, or Unlimited, because that was just, you couldn't get it in French.
Right.
And so I think it must have been around Revised or 4th when they started doing different languages. So we started to get tricklings of it. You could always get stuff through like a supplier who had like connections in the US. But it wasn't like you could walk into a store. And so his dad got this, like, I think it must have been a 4th edition or Revised starter pack. So like, you know, like the old box where it had the little manual. It was tiny. And he brought it to school one day, and all the kids are like, oh my goodness, what is this? This is insane. We'd never seen anything like it before, because like Magic, nothing like that existed at that time. Right, yeah. So that slowly trickled in, and then we found like 1 or 2 stores in the area that would sell it, so we all started buying them. But we had no idea what the heck we were doing. We were kids. I mean, like you bought the packs, and like we didn't even understand rarity at the time. We just looked for the cool art. Sure. And we'd play at recess and stuff like that, and our decks would be like 2 feet high, because it was literally every booster pack we had, and we just jammed them all together. And that was a lot of fun. And then it kind of died off like it does. Like at that age anyway. I think someone got a Super Nintendo, and that was the new flavor of the month. Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, how does Super Mario World compete with Magic? So it was a non-issue at that point. Very hard.
That's true. I think for me, I got into Pokemon first, as far as like the first trading card game. But like, I didn't even understand how to play the game at all. I just collected the cards because they were cool. And the only way I understood rarity was like the foiling process on some of the cards. Yeah. And so that was just my way of understanding rarity. Yeah. That's really cool, starting like at that point in Magic the Gathering, because I started at Kamigawa way later, and then like fell off, and then kind of came back at the beginning of Zendikar, like M11, that kind of thing. Yeah, because I mean, we had that lull too, because like once the Super Nintendo hit, it just kind of fell sideways, and I kept all of my stuff. I'm not, I don't want to say a hoarder, but like I like to keep my stuff. Sure. So I had all my stuff. It was in a shoebox in my closet. And then I think it must have been at this point 7 years ago. I got together with some buddies from high school who were a lot of the friends that I had from elementary school as well for poker night. And my friend Chris, like me, keeps all of his stuff together. And so he had his poker stuff with his Magic stuff. And like
all of us completely forgot about the poker night that night, and we're just like, oh, do you remember this? It's like, oh, didn't you have a Sylvan Library and stuff like that? And it just spiraled out of control from there. There was about 12 or 13 of us there that night, and we all got hooked back into it again. And that was around Scars of Mirrodin.
Okay, yeah.
And
that's a good block.
Yeah, that was a great one. And by New Phyrexia, we were doing just like we'd go buy booster box and do our own kind of like in-house sealeds and events like that. And we've been doing them ever since.
Man, New Phyrexia was one of my favorite sets, like of all time, just because of how legitimately insane like the limited was, but also like part of that standard environment where it's just like, I'm just going to cast free spells because 1 mana does not equal 2 life at all. Like, period.
It was beautiful. It was such. It has a those the 3 blocks like Scars of Mirrodin, Innistrad, and New Phyrexia have like a really, really special place in my heart in terms of just like good memories playing limited and draft and standard, because of just, it was like, I don't want to say wholesome magic, but it was just like, it really pushed the limits of what I understood about the game. And coming back, not ever like fully understanding the game as a beginner, and then getting fully into it later on, I could really appreciate kind of like the complexities, and like you said, the idea of paying life for mana was just like Dismember, paying 1 colorless for -5/-5. Get out of here! I'm playing that in every deck.
Absolutely, I think for those kind of sets particularly, it's like there's like a level of like simplicity, but also just a level of powerful cards overall within those sets. And that's what just makes them so off the rails amazing for like nostalgia, as well as just whenever you go back and play them again, or like whenever you were playing them, you're just like, these cards are really powerful, you know? Man, just like, cause whenever that was around, Zendikar block was still in there, and I was playing like Archive Trap Mill and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so it's just, man, it's fun stuff there.
Zendikar, I never got into Zendikar. Like when I came in, it was just, I think it must have been rotating out with Scars of Mirrodin. I can't, or maybe, no, because Cobblade was still a thing when I played Standard back then. So I guess it must still have been there. But yeah, it was like, he was on the kind of like the last legs of the set before rotating out, which was a whole other trip. The idea of like a set rotating out, because when I started playing, I was like, I just buy cards. That's as far as I thought. And it's just like, man, I have to keep track of all these things. Oh, goodness.
Did you have a particular format you played when you started, or was it just kind of like tabletop, whatever?
We initially started with tabletop. I transitioned heavily into standard. I really enjoyed sort of the creativity that comes from a more limited format.
Sure.
And I never really enjoyed Cobblade. Cobblade kind of, well, first of all, I didn't want to pay $100 for Jace the Mind Sculptor, because that seemed insane to me at the time. Now,
still pretty insane now.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, I think it's still like in the 80s.
It's like mid 80s, I think, right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I played a blue-white kind of blink control with Venser the Sojourner, who's still probably my favorite Planeswalker, I think, out of everyone they've ever printed.
Nice.
And I loved it. I had like Batter Skulls and Frost Titans, and I just did my own thing. I had fun.
Just those cards being in standard at the same time. Just what?
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's just like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So moving from, I guess, standard, when did you start getting into like commander type stuff?
Again, because like, my screen just, oh no, sorry.
You're good.
My screen fell asleep. Oops.
Are you okay?
That's awkward. I'm boring. So basically, like, I got really into standard. My girlfriend, who's now my wife, would come and join me and stuff like that. She enjoyed, there was like I think it was M13 when goblins is around. She likes tribes. She thinks they're really cool. But that kind of died off. Some of my other friends weren't really super into the idea of paying for a set that kept rotating every now and then.
Sure.
And Commander 2011 just came out, and that's like the Zedru, Mimeoplasm, Kalia, and Animar, I think it was, or Riku. And a bunch of the guys in the shop were telling me about it because they've been playing it before then, before it was like an officially recognized kind of format, and it was just like a table format for friends. So I picked up Riku and Zedru. Actually, I think I picked up all of them except for Kalia, because Kalia was more expensive. But that got me really into it. We played the box, like the deck straight out of the box.
Nice.
And a bunch of us were like really into it. And so we're like, okay, well, let's try it a little bit. We'll stick with monocolors and tribes. So like I built Krenko. My buddy built Azami Wizards, and so on and so forth. And we just kind of spiraled from there. And it's just the appeal of I think, because it allowed us to continue to do the sealed that we enjoyed so much, which is like what we do every new set.
Right.
without sort of having to feel the pressure of opening good cards. Because like sometimes EDH cards aren't always like the chase rare ones. They're just like
Right.
they're just nice cards in the set. So there was even more appeal for us to continue doing that. And then whatever you opened that you didn't want to use, you could trade towards other things. Plus the fact that you only need one rare in a deck is just it made sense financially for a lot of people. People started getting like condos and babies and getting married and stuff like that. And the investment of Magic became a bit more of a something that they couldn't really afford.
Gotcha. Yeah, the hamster wheel of Standard definitely gets tired after a while, for sure. I love Standard personally because I like the format because it's ever changing. That's kind of like my sweet spot for Magic, because I love Sealed, love Draft, but love Standard because of its ever evolving kind of format. Yeah. Even though the last year and a half has been kind of stale,
yeah,
with lots of bannings and stuff like that. But you know, I think hopefully once rotation happens in October, we should have a more healthy, hopefully, Standard environment.
Yeah,
and that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, like I play Standard now more than ever because of Magic the Gathering Arena. Mm-hmm. The ease of being able to build a Standard deck in that has actually pulled me back into it, because it's just like, okay, cool. I just do my little quests. I get the gold, and then I'll open boosters every now and then. And I like the wild card system where you can build whatever you kind of miss. So it's kind of fun.
I enjoy Arena a lot. For me, I wish the animations were something that could be thought about when we going from Magic Online. Yeah, because I play so much on Magic Online for the various formats and everything.
Yeah,
and the drafting and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the animation stuff is top notch on Arena, and the wildcard system is really interesting as well. I just wish there was like some sort of in-game economy for something.
Yeah,
but yeah,
interacting only with the in-game store is a bit of a buzzkill.
Right, exactly. So moving on to favorite format, I guess would that be Commander now?
Commander by far. Legacy coming in second, probably Modern, Limited, and then Standard at the very end. And not that I don't like Standard, but I enjoy like Momir Basic even more than Standard. Just I like kind of variety and crazy broken magic and stuff like that. So
Legacy is definitely there for you for that.
Oh
yes. Favorite set? Do you have a favorite set maybe?
It's definitely going to be a tie between Return to Ravnica or Innistrad, like original Innistrad.
Gotcha. Yeah,
those are both just such fun. Gravecrawler was Gravecrawler was Dark Ascension, wasn't he?
Gravecrawler, I believe, was Dark Ascension. Yeah.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Liliana of the Veil was one of the first competitive planeswalkers that I was like, I recognized the power sort of like immediately. I was like 3 costs to discard a card, force them to sack a creature, or just wreck you. It was so good. And it ended up having me build Jund Standard, which I got to play with Shocks, Checklands, Farseek, Garruk, Thragtusk, Huntmaster of the Fells, just these like beautiful Jund cards where I literally just Jund them out basically. So you just force them to sort of meet you card for card in terms of advantage and value, and it's so hard to do.
Yeah, man, it's so strange talking back about like old Standard formats and how tame it is now.
Yeah,
but yeah, those are great sets. Are you really? I guess that means that you're really excited for Guilds of Ravnica, because that's previous season is just now starting on that.
Excited, yes. I wish that I do enjoy when they go to new planes. I do enjoy the new themes. I mean, we just had Return to Ravnica how many years ago?
I want to say it was 2011 or 12.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. I'm not good with math again. But basically, like, I understand going back and revisiting fan favorite things. I like that a lot. I think it's fun. Like Dominaria was fantastic, and they went back to an older plane. I just don't know if enough time has passed. But that could just be that's my perspective. I mean, I'm going to be happy either way. I'm curious to see what mechanics we get, because from the spoiler that we saw the other day, it looks like some of the older stuff is coming back. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think Convoke is one of the mechanics coming back right now.
That's what it seems like. But does that mean like Dredge is coming back? Because that's
Court of Calling. I mean, there's a bunch of fun things that are in Convoke that are awesome. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree that they do like to return to Ravnica a lot.
Yeah, RT.
Yeah. but that's not to say it's necessarily a bad thing. This is, I think, the third time they've returned to Ravnica as in like a block, or not necessarily a block. They're doing the 3 sets, kind of like a block, but they're not calling it a block. I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I do like Amonkhet, Ixalan, those kind of things. Those are really interesting as well. Loved Dominaria because it was like basically Kamigawa done right with all the legendaries, but it was just like simplistic back and forth magic that like we just haven't had in a while, and I really appreciated that, especially after like dealing with Kaladesh energy and all these weird things with like Eternalize and Amonkhet block, where it's just like these are kind of high level kind of plays where it's just like Dominaria is just like just play good cards and you win. you know?
It's simple. So, it goes back to the roots.
Right, yeah. And I'm really excited to see what happens with Ravnica, because for me, I feel like we're probably going to see another like rise in control decks in Standard, which we've kind of seen that a little bit right before Ravnica started, thanks to Nexus of Fate decks, like Turbo Fog decks. But I think as soon as rotation happens, you're just going to see them blow up. And I can't wait. I know that a lot of people hate blue, but like for me, it's like if I'm in Standard and I'm playing control, I'm having a good time.
That's fair. There's a flavor for everyone.
Right. We've had 6 months of like, mono red Hazoret aggro. So I'm just like, I'm kind of tired of that.
That can be just kind of disappointing. It's not always, you don't want to always kind of sit down and face the same deck no matter where you're playing. So it's nice to have that kind of variety, that kind of like the rock, paper, scissors, where it's like, okay, I'm going to an event. I know my deck is good against this and this, but I know it's weak against this. And that kind of adds to the fun of it, because when you beat the deck that you're supposed to be weak against, it's kind of like a rush, because you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened, but I did.
Right. And, yeah, for sure. That's one of the, I guess, advantages of like modern tournaments right now, because of how wide open the format is. So. Yeah. Moving on to another question here. Kind of moving on to your actual just videos on YouTube itself. Your Commander videos, after watching them, it's kind of like, I feel really like jealous because they're so well paced and like edited and stuff like that. How do you like, what's the process of making those videos?
The process is, so I mean, like initially I go to the store. So like I'll usually talk to the owner of the store and just make sure it's okay, because obviously I'm using their facilities and I don't want to upset anyone. Sure. 9 out of 10 times, everyone's super thrilled with the idea of having their store get like kind of publicity. They like the idea of seeing their regulars on the camera and stuff like that. So we go, I'll spend like usually 1 or 2 nights a week filming. I come home, I import the footage from my GoPro onto my computer, render it, yada, yada, yada. Then usually I dedicate about 1 day a week to scripting. So I'll watch an old game, like one of the games I filmed, and literally just write out the opening hands. I'll be like, turn 1, Mike plays an island, he casts Soul Ring. Turn 1, Trevor plays a plains, casts Arbor Elf, or not plains, Arbor Elf, but like, Forest Arbor Elf, and stuff like that. Just to help with like sort of a more narrative flow. My older videos, I used to just sort of do it by winging it. I didn't have a lot of free time. I was working a different job, and it was much more, I didn't have the luxuries as I do now to sort of dedicate that kind of time to this. And that's really helped me sort of get down the narrative, because then I do my recordings for my audio, so I'll do through the whole thing. Then I fire up Adobe Premiere Pro, I put the audio in, I put the video in, I sync up the audio to the video by cutting the dead space out. Then I overlay graphics, and then I export, and then I upload. So like,
whole thing.
So like from farm to table kind of thing, it takes about 6 to 8 hours per video to condense usually about 45 minutes to an hour to about a 10-minute video.
Right. Do you, I guess, whenever during the play or during the actual recording, do you have them like, I guess, say the card name when you play it, or you're having to look at it through the GoPro lens?
Well, the GoPro records the audio as well, and so like what's nice is that I've got, as we were talking about before recording this, with my setup, I had to sort of keep in mind the battery life of the GoPro. So I actually bought an external battery, and it's plugged into the camera. So I've got a skeleton case, so it picks up the audio quite well. So in most cases, if say there's a glare from the lights above or something like that, I'm able to at least hear it, because most people announce like, oh, I pay Court of Calling for 3. Right. So if something's not super clear, at least I have the audio to fall back on, and then I can go from there, kind of thing.
Gotcha. That, to me, like watching the videos, that was the hardest part for me. I was like, how is he just making them say it as clearly as possible? Or, like
the only thing I ask for them to do usually is illustrate or indicate what they're doing. Like if it's a removal spell, to sort of just point towards what they're removing, just because it can, like, I mean, I record in a store, so oftentimes it can be quite loud. There's a lot of boisterous people around and things like that. And like, it's nothing against them, but just it can, your audio can get drowned out by people laughing or what have you. So it's easier for me if like it's very clear what you're doing in the post-production kind of stuff.
Have you, since you're recording within a local game store, I didn't know you were doing that, but since you're recording within a local game store, like, have you had anyone ever like stop you in the middle of a game or like affect the table anyway, like another hand come across the table or something like that?
Yeah, but I typically not to buzzkill on them, but I'll edit it out just to keep it kind of just to keep it kind of at the use of the word serious, but like to keep it more consistent,
well, focused. Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm always happy for people who come and they want to be in the game. I'll sit out for the next game and they can be in and they can do whatever they want as long as it's like appropriate and not kind of rude. So most of the time I find people are very respectful of that. The one thing that I find that does happen the most, and it's not intentional, is that people kick the tripod, which can be very frustrating, but
that would suck. Yeah,
it's what happens. It hasn't fallen over yet. It's just there are times where it kind of shakes a little bit, and it's I have to sort of get people to redo that play because the original one was lost to sort of the earthquake like effect.
Right. Yeah, you had a giant earthquake happening. That's awesome. For me, I had tripods in my office for a while, but because I'm on carpet most of the time, it like shakes anytime I like move the table or whatever. So what I've done now is I've found security poles that you can go drill into the ceiling.
Oh, nice.
And I found those on Amazon, and I was like, oh my God, it solves my problem. And so all my like lights and my they're all on the ceiling. So if anything happens, they're not effective at anything, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, it's like the there's the Graham Stark vlog who does Loading Ready Run. He was in one of the Game Nights videos, and he kind of showed a behind the scenes, and that's very similar kind of setup to what they have, which is all the cameras seem to be secured above as opposed to on the floor, because obviously there's less chances of sort of like vibrations or movement happening.
Right. And no one's tripping over any cords or anything like that too. So
exactly.
That's a huge hazard.
That's it. I mean, like it'd be so nice to have a setup like that, but just for what I do, I just can't really do that.
I got you. I mean, I didn't realize you're actually in a local game store doing that. That's crazy. Yeah. That's awesome though too. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
Man. So I guess moving from that, how did you get started making YouTube videos in the first place?
It kind of happened from a back injury of all things. I'd been working as a chef in a kitchen and doing my degree in creative writing. And one day I slipped and kind of caught myself, which as I was at the hospital being examined by the doctor after the fact was told not to catch yourself because I misaligned 3 discs in my lower back.
Ouch.
And so I was in physio for 5 days a week for 6 months. And I couldn't really do very much. And I was playing a lot of Magic because I couldn't really work. School was out for the summer basically, and I wanted to try and find something. And my wife suggested, like, you're playing Magic a lot. Maybe there's something you can do with that. And so it started as deck techs, and that was fun. And then I used to watch Commander 99 and... Or wait, no. The other 99? What was it called?
I can't remember.
It was they don't make videos anymore. Or the Top Deck Top Deck Productions or Top and Go Productions. Oh my goodness, this is gonna kick me in the butt. They were doing these like beautiful, wonderful things, and they did videos, and then there was gameplays by Clonehead. And I was like, these guys are doing this cool stuff, and I really want to try doing this. And like I'd experienced a little bit of stuff with like Adobe Flash, just playing around in my basement when I was a kid. Nice. And so I thought, okay, I have Premiere Pro. Let's see what I can do with it. And so like my first videos were from a webcam, and they turned out okay. And I was like, I like doing this. I like the idea of this. This is like a lot of fun. So then I got a camera, and then I started doing it in stores, and things just kind of progressed from there, and people picked up, and people seem to really like it. So it's just been like a snowball from there.
That's awesome. It's so crazy how many MTG creators have back injuries.
Really?
I think you had a back injury. I believe Wedge is recovering from a spinal injury right now.
Oh, I think
the
there was like the Kickstarter for that. Yeah. He had a crazy back surgery.
And then I think Sabin from Aether Hub is currently like going through a back injury
Oh,
situation. There's just a lot of it's very it's like all coincidental, obviously, but it's like
jeez,
it's crazy.
yeah,
So,
that's
but
not something.
it's not something obviously I would wish on anyone else, obviously.
Oh
But
God, God, no, 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 no.
yeah,
The physio was agony, and it was awful. But thankfully, I am like I think they said like 95% back to what it was, and like I
that
don't
is
have any
awesome.
lingering effects or anything like awful like
Awesome.
that. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, for sure. Man.
Yeah, back injuries, no, no good, no good.
No, thank you. Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's kind of a cool story going from, doing, I guess, being a chef
Mm-hmm.
and then going from that, making, you did creative writing right in college?
I did creative writing. There was actually like I worked in a post production company as well in Montreal that did a lot of like basically anything that any kind of studio. We did Netflix quite a bit. Like I worked on some of the Marvel series when they were still under NDA and stuff like that. And
Nice.
but I had to leave that when I came to New Jersey, so I just sort of refocused and started just doing freelance work while I was here anyway. But yeah,
That's awesome.
it's yeah, I never really expected this is what I'd be doing, kind of like as constantly as I am now.
Sure. Has it, how many videos do you upload a week right now? Or is it just once a week?
It's 2 to 3 a week. Typically it's 2, like Monday and Thursdays are guaranteed. Sometimes like if I do the EDH land with Jolt, it'll be Friday just to sort of not mess with my normal production schedule.
Sure.
If there's like a spoiler video or something else that I really want to do, typically it'll be on another day. But yeah, I'm gaming, trying to game a little bit more on Twitch as well. So I want to stream a bit more like this.
Sure.
Yeah, it's Mondays and Thursdays for sure. And then from there, it could be the sky's the limit. Who knows?
Gotcha. Whenever I started making videos on the channel, that was back in like March or April of last year. So we're still kind of a fresh channel, but I like it was basically just me by myself, and then Jolt came on and kind of helped out a lot, and he's been awesome with everything. But it's so fun to see how our content has just kind of evolved into this huge like juggernaut of like a single video every single day of the week.
Yep.
And it's kind of been to the point where like I want to continue making new content, like a news channel and all that kind of stuff for MTG. But it's like now my schedule is so backbreaking. It's like what do I replace it with? That kind of thing. It's like I want to do more deck techs, but recording footage for deck techs and brewing and making sure it's actually viable and that kind of thing is like very difficult sometimes. And
yeah, I mean, plus you just had your daughter, so I mean, like I'm assuming that's going to be a big factor in what you can allocate time to and things like that.
Yeah, I was streaming every single day of the week, like Monday through Friday, and I had to just cut that for like 2 months whenever Holly was born, and I've kind of slowly come back like 3 days a week. But it's like I might cut that again, just based on like because it's like having a baby is a handful. So
I can only imagine. I mean, like I'm not there yet, but it's just like I've seen the friends who go through it know that there's enough stuff that you just you value the free time that you have, and the idea of like allocating it to other things can sometimes be really hard.
Right. It's crazy how when I was in college, I played like Magic constantly for hours and hours and hours. Just brewing and just making new decks or making another deck to go against this deck and then playing those decks by myself, like solitaire mode, like saying, how this deck is going to operate if we knew both sides and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then like just having so much time and then going from that to like, now it's like I have, the time that I do for the channel. And then like outside of that, it's like very little of like actually trying to like get together with some friends to play Commander or go to a local game store. It's very difficult, but it's fun.
I can imagine. But yeah, you appreciate it more when you do get to do it though.
Like, absolutely.
That's it.
So next question, I guess, moving on from the YouTube videos themselves, what kind of advice would you give to anybody trying to get into like EDH, since that's kind of like your main thing right now?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much it's hard. Like I mean, just do what you do. Like find a commander that you think looks fun and just build it, and like use the resources out there that are available. Like EDH Rec is fantastic. EDH Rec is one of the websites that I love the most. It gives you like a really good idea of what other like-minded people are playing in a deck, but at the same time, don't forget to include your favorite cards. Like, don't forget to include those pet cards that you've always kind of like loved. And even if it's not like if it's not the best card for the deck, you'll still feel and enjoy it more than say playing Go for the Throat over, I don't know, Murder. If for whatever reason Murder really has a special significance to you. Like at the end of the day, sure, it costs one more, but like you got to have some fun with the deck and make it your own kind of thing. Put your own little stamp on it, basically.
Right. I know a lot of people. I talked about this with Jolt as well. Some people kind of like are a bit negative towards EDH REC because it's just like you just type in your commander and it builds the deck for you. I'm like, that's not really the point of it. It builds like it shows you like what goes good with that commander.
Yeah,
you know, and it's your decision to whether you want to put it in your deck or not.
Well, this is it. And I mean, like, I understand people think that, especially in EDH, the idea is to sort of show what you enjoy through the cards that you play and the inclusions that you pick. So like running like 10 tutors to always find the same 2 combo pieces is not exactly the best representation of what you're trying to do for a deck. But like you said, it's a resource that's there that shows you what people are including, but there's no reason, nothing's forcing you to run every card that gets popped up on that list. And I think it's up to the person to sort of decide, like, do I want to run like a stock list, or do I want to run a deck that I want to bring to the table? And so I think it's important that it exists. I think people now have sort of like, it's a bit of a lighthouse in terms of where people can direct their criticism. Because there used to be like MTG Salvation, there were forums, there were all kinds of ways that you could go, and you'd see the same threads over and over again. Someone posts like, "Oh, I'm looking to build Prosh," and I guarantee that at least in every thread on Reddit, Food Chain would come up, Blood Artist would come up, Zulpar Cutthroat would come up, and it's just like, even if EDH Rec wasn't there, the community as a whole can sometimes become like a kind of EDH Rec in and of itself. Sure.
Kind of helping to not homogenize, but kind of help aggregate, I guess, the information. Yeah. Sure.
And I mean, there are cards that function super well with a commander. Like
absolutely.
Those cards.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with including those just because 90 other people also include it. Like, it doesn't make it any less good. So
right. What do you say to players wanting to get more, I guess, or do you like rather competitive EDH, or are you more kind of just like more fun, more casual, more tabletop?
I like it all, but I think it's important that you as a player understand that, not you specifically, obviously.
Sure.
But if you sit down to a table with a competitive EDH deck and you do not establish with the other players that you are playing a competitive EDH deck, and then you proceed to stomp them by turn 3, they might not have as much fun as you're having. And as a result, you might not get to play with them again. So like, if you're going to go to a store that has random people coming in and out, a variety of power levels and decks, just keep that in mind. Be aware that different people have different levels of fun. And for some people, that's Battle Cruiser. That's playing big creature after big creature after big creature with very little interaction and just smashing each other in the face. And that's cool. And I've played some games where it's 3 hours long of us just being stupid and getting like 600 life in a turn and then going down to 5. And that's great. But just, it's important. I think communication is important in almost every facet of our lives. And I think it doubly so in a game, especially when there's such a social element to EDH with 3 other players. It's not just you and one other opponent. It's you and 2 other people as well. So like, or 3 other people. So like, yeah, you can't really prioritize purely your own fun and expect to sort of get the same reaction as you would if you sat down and played against a 1v1 again a game.
Right. I think the last time I played Commander at a local game store, 3 of us had casual, like fun decks, and the one guy had the like infinite combo, one turn, he can kill everybody deck. Yeah. And like, we were playing by turn 3, he was like, "You're dead, you're dead, you're dead." And I was like, is this fun for you? Like, because none of us can play the game now. I don't understand.
Well, it's like, it's a game's over in 15 minutes, and like, no one's played more than 3 lands or like 4 cards that they've cast. Like, you're not really playing a game at that point. And especially with CDH, like, the decks are so tuned. You'll enjoy it more when you're playing against deck levels that are the decks that are the same level as yours. So like, where they have those free counter spells that can like stop your infinite combo and you have to fight through it. Like, those can be super riveting. Like, if you look at the guys over at Team Turn 3, Lab Maniacs, they have like these crazy interactions where the stack is like 6 or 7 cards like deep. And when they win, it's like, I was able to like use my resources properly. I was able to bait out the counter spells when I needed to, and that's a win. Whereas like, there's a more hollow victory I find in the kind of game where you said, like, where it's just like, I went in, I stomped a bunch of guys who were playing Forest, Llanowar Elf. Like,
right.
It's just, it's a different monster, but I think they both have equal places. It's just a matter of making sure that you're playing this in the kind of environment that it should be in.
Right. So I guess the environment it should be in, do you think 1v1 is more of that environment for Commander?
No, I don't. I really don't like. For me, EDH is 4 players. 3 players, is almost always 2 people ganging up on one other person. Anything more than 4 players is just basically asking to play one game for the rest of the night. Like you're sitting down for like a 6-hour game, which is unfortunate. 4 players is this kind of magical sweet spot where I find that games aren't too long, but they're not too short usually. And you're just able to sort of do stuff and play cool cards and like see fun decks and stuff like that. So no, I think 4-player, even in competitive, is just, it allows for a more robust game, I think, in the end.
Sure. Yeah, I tried to start getting into some 1v1 Commander because, for one, I play mostly on Magic Online, and so like Commander on Magic Online is fun, but it can take forever just based on like waiting on people to make their plays and thinking all that kind of stuff. Because in between all that, if you're playing, Commander like at a local game store, you have all the banter, you can kind of talk in between the plays and all this. You kind of have like you're enjoying yourself. Yeah. Whereas Magic Online is more down to business. Yeah. So tried to play 1v1 and was just like, I don't know, it was very strange because it was like it's almost kind of a legacy format, but not really, because some people try to make like have fun, and then other people are just trying to make like the most competitive deck possible. So. Yeah,
I don't know. I appreciate what Jolt does and how he's able to put out the games consistently, but that is just I watch it because I enjoy him, and like other people who do 1v1. There's like Brian Weissman who does 1v1 Commander stuff as well. Like they do really good videos and they do like really in-depth kind of thought process. And I enjoy that element of it. But it's kind of like you said, it's like you're watching kind of this like legacy light in a lot of senses, where it's just like you're not too sure what it is. And I miss the sort of the more interaction you get with the other players.
Absolutely. I think that's to me, I think that's what Commander has always been, has been more interaction with players. Yeah. But yeah, Jolt is definitely a master when it comes to that 1v1 format on Magic Online. He just like cranks out those videos.
Oh awesome. My goodness.
So
it's incredible. It's incredible. And his ability to constantly provide interesting and engaging narrative while playing at the same time is something I'm envious of. I can do narrative after the fact, but like you sit me down, like I'm stumbling over my words now. Like heaven help me if I have to think about stuff while there's a timer running in a game. I'd just be like,
I got you. So last question of the I guess interview here. What do you do that's not MTG focused? Is it video games? Is it movies? Reading? Writing?
The side work I do is writing. I do technical writing and creative writing on the side, sort of as contract work. Nice. But like the fun stuff that I do for my own enjoyment is typically reading or video games, or like it's just anything that I can kind of enjoy, get myself into. I enjoy fantasy as a genre, comedy fantasy as well. Like I'm reading Terry Pratchett's Discworld series. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yes,
they're fantastic. I'm reading it again for the second time all the way through. It's just as fun as the first time, so that's a lot of fun. And I like games, video games. I got a PS4. We use it for Netflix a lot, but like my wife plays Stardew Valley. She plays The Last of Us. She's into those kind of games. Yeah. I'm working through The Witcher 3.
Oh, nice.
Wild Hunt, which is super cool. Very, very kind of like dark fantasy. So it's usually a bit out of my norm, but
it's a very dense game too.
Oh my goodness, it's like the Game of the Year edition, so like it's got all the DLC, and I'm a little overwhelmed in terms of what is accessible.
I played that game for maybe like 20 or 30 hours, and was just I have to set it down. I will be here forever. Yep. Like this is like an MMO.
Yep. We used to play. My wife and I used to play World of Warcraft actually quite a bit before this. Nice. But when she started doing her PhD, and I started working at my other job, it was like free time to raid and stuff like that was just not something we could do anymore. So we kind of had to retire and hang that up.
Gotcha. As do all great warriors of World of Warcraft.
That's it. I mean, that's how it is. You lose and also again, it's another social element of the game is that World of Warcraft is a lot of fun when you're playing with friends. And
absolutely. Yeah.
People started retiring. They had kids. They started getting to other games, and
Right.
that sort of core group you start with eventually fades away. And it's like, I'll pick it up every now and then. I'll pay for a month just to sort of get like the nostalgia kick out of it. But
Sure.
it just doesn't have that kind of hold on me anymore.
Right. For sure. For sure. I was like that with Destiny a few years ago, where I would just be playing religiously with like 5 of my friends, or 6 of my friends rather, because you can only do 3-man teams.
Okay.
And we would be grinding all around the same time, and then just kind of bouncing in bounce in and out of each other's fire team. And really enjoyed that because I loved Halo growing up as well.
Right.
But yeah, love those kind of games. Love JRPGs because I was really big into JRPGs whenever I had a PS1, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, some of the old ones like Suikoden 2 or Suikoden.
Yes, Suikoden. Yep.
That was fantastic. There's one I want to get for the PS4 at some point when I have more free time. It's Ni no Kuni 2, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That looks super, super good. And Dragon Quest, there's a new Dragon Quest coming out.
Right, yeah, new Dragon Quest is coming out soon. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm really excited for that, as well as Cyberpunk. I just watched the gameplay trailer of that yesterday.
That's all over my Facebook feed. I haven't checked out the trailer yet, but apparently people are losing their minds.
Well, it kind of just reminds me of Deus Ex, if you ever played Deus Ex.
Yep.
And very, very similar to that as far as like feel, but like less yellow, more grunge.
Less yellow.
Because, well, Deus Ex is so yellow with a bunch of its like color palettes and stuff.
Yeah.
More grungy. No load screens between areas, which I thought was like baffling because of how big the place was.
That's so cool, yeah.
And then like just multiple types of interactions. Like they did like first person stuff with like regular FPS shooting style stuff.
Cool.
With like built-in like RPG mechanics built into your gun system. And then they went from that to like driving around town and then doing like a chase scene in a car.
Oh,
it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And then they had like kind of Dragon Age style quest chains for like the dialogue options.
Okay.
And it was kind of like everything in like basically The Witcher 3, but first person and then like in the future.
Yeah. It's like all the cool parts that you see from other games, and then it's just like futuristic cyberpunk. That's pretty sweet.
Right. Yeah. It's very interesting. I can't wait to see what it actually looks like when it's like, fully released. But the trailer was super impressive. So
nice.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for coming to the interview today. I hope you had fun.
I did.
And guys, just wanted to talk to the viewer here. Like if you like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when we upload a video on the channel. We upload every single weekday. And let me know in the comments down below who we should have on the channel next. MTGMuddstah, what should we pimp out for you today?
I don't know. You put me on the spot here. Pimp out. I don't know. Just enjoy.
Like, what are you working on right now? What are you working on right now? Or what do you want people to go to?
Just check out EDH games. Like find a smaller content creator and like just like there's guys like Affinity for Commander, Commander 99. Like there's a bunch of these other small channels that just like they put so much love and care and hard work into stuff. And like I want to see them do well. Like I want to see more. I like watching this kind of stuff. So like just check that out.
It's crazy because there's so many MTG content creators now. They just kind of like come up out of nowhere and I'm like, yes, you all exist now. It's great.
Yeah.
5 years ago, it was like nobody.
That's it. But like you can literally go on YouTube every day and find like 3 new videos of like such a variety of content and like like there's like Jumbo Commander. I mean, he's not small, but like his stuff is so good, and it's just there's so much to enjoy and watch, and just like people just need to check stuff out. It's so cool. It's such a fun experience.
Absolutely, and always start over. And as always, there we go. Check out MTGMuddstah on his YouTube channel. Do you have like a particular, is it / just MTGMuddstah on there?
It's just / MTGMuddstah, yep. Gotcha.
Nice. And you're also on Twitter as well. So
not super religiously. I don't do social media super well. It scares me. So I'm accessible.
As it should.
I'm accessible on there. Like if someone tweets at me, I will answer in timely fashion, but
You're not on there complaining about Hall of Fame whatever's, you know.
No,
the drama of the day, as it were.
Yeah, I don't adhere to that too well, unfortunately. I just
Gotcha. That makes sense. It's good to kind of stay outside of that. And more, it's better to enjoy just Magic the game as it is, instead of the sometimes the stuff that surrounds it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming, and that's going to do for the video, guys. And I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome MTG content just like this. And make sure to tap the bell icon to be notified whenever a video is made live. If you want to keep watching content, here are 2 more videos for you. This video and many others are sponsored by MTG Traders and Cape Fear Games. Buy and sell digital singles to build your online collection today with MTG Traders, and get your paper singles, accessories, and much more from Cape Fear Games. Whatever your Magic needs, both places have you covered.